big week to talk about on Comic Book Canon. That's right. You know, you may be thinking about DC, but I'm actually thinking about the Birds. Go Birds! Birds are in the Super Bowl against those Kansas City Chiefs. And if the drama isn't even enough, you got them going against Andy Reid, who brought them to 5 conference championships and 1 Super Bowl. Oh, I love it. You know who else loves it? My stand-in co-host, partner in crime, and good friend, Joseph, a.k.a. 360 Comics.
Fly on the road to victory. Oh, sorry. Didn't notice you there. I was too busy celebrating the birds.
You're damn straight, because we deserve that. We deserve that. You know, I didn't notice I'm also wearing my Flyers t-shirt. That was not intended.
I had a Flyers jersey on earlier today.
We went
with Eagles green here, though.
Yeah, we had to, because there's not much to celebrate about the Flyers. But no, but we are talking about a big week last week. Was it last? Yeah, it was last week, where James Gunn came out and announced this DC slate we're all very excited about. Chris and I shit on a lot of those DC films, but the reason we did was because they were inconsistent and there was no plan. And now it looks like there is a plan. Oh, by the way, Chris he's got some family obligations. He may make it for props or flops. We'll be checking in with him, so just hang tight. He's okay. But yeah, that's why Joseph is here, because we love our Tom Hanks, the Tom Hanks of the comic book canon. We love him. But here's the deal. So I'm not that. I mean, I love DC. I love the characters. I have collected DC. It's not tops on my list these days. A few titles are, but I don't feel like I am an authority to speak in a position of authority with these announcements. Joe probably knows way more DC than I do. All right, well, there we go. So what we did here, guys, was we brought in an expert on DC as our guest co-host. And normally, Joe, tell me if this is right. Normally, we put these guests through the ringer.
Oh, yeah.
It's an interview to be a guest co-host in Comic Book Canon, and most of the times they get kicked off. But because we have this guest bringing value to us, we are using him for that value, and we're going to pretend it's all nice and hunky-dory, and we may end up kicking him off after we get what we want, but not before, right?
Sure.
So, everybody, please welcome Jim, a.k.a. Bronzeville Comics. How you doing, Jim?
I am doing great. What's going on?
Well, you know more than us, because there were some big announcements that happened.
Wait. He's not wearing green. We got to kick him off.
Well, good call. All right. He got kicked off. Bring him back. We do have to bring him back, because he lives in Bronxville, hence the name Bronzeville. And, you know, I just assumed he was a Giants fan. I was like, nah. But he's actually a Steelers fan. That's okay. I mean, come on. It's not that huge of a rival.
Sure.
Especially because the Steelers were not that great this year. But Mike Tomlin, hell of a coach.
Oh, yeah.
So, Anyway, so Jim, what I like about your channel is you are just you speak your mind, and you have a wealth of knowledge in that mind, that beautiful mind. And y'all better be following Jim, aka Bronzeville Comics. The link is down below in the description. It's also in the title. It's as easy as clicking and subscribing, because if you don't, Joe and I are going to figure out something that you will absolutely regret for not following Bronzeville Comics. We'll keep reminding you through the episode.
Count. Jim, how many subscribers do you have right now on
right now? Let's see. 3,675.
75.
Okay. 75. So let's get 7 more. 7 more subs at least. And if we don't, we'll just cancel the canon for good.
Forever.
That's what's going to happen. So, Jim, we're going to ask you throughout the show how we're looking on those subs, because if there's not 7 by the end of the show, Comic Book Canon is canceled forever. You all know how this works. Forever. All right, so here's what we're going to do, people. I have to say I'm very excited. I'm not sure if most of you saw what happened this past week, and if you didn't, we're just going to roll something to either refresh what you saw or experience it yourself. James Gunn announcing what these slates, or what the slate is looking like, the beginning slate, which is titled Gods and Monsters. Is that correct, Jim?
Gods and Monsters.
So why don't we check out Jim Gunn, Why don't we check out James Gunn, in his words, what we can expect. Check it out.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. And then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now, this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter. The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action. The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it. Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025. Okay, the next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is the story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way, so she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about, a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique and something special. Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much.
All right, there's a lot to take in here. And again, that's one of the reasons we have Jim, because he can probably dive way deeper than Joe, Chris, or myself can. But before we do, there's a little bit more that James Gunn tweeted after this announcement that we should share too. James Gunn shared 4 more inspirations for the DC universe. Gunn's vision is heavily influenced by the groundbreaking works of Grant Morrison on Batman and Superman, as well as Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch's The Authority, as you heard, and Alan Moore's absolute Swamp Thing. Now, he tweeted this. We've talked a lot about Woman of Tomorrow, but these are more of the comics inspiring DC Studios and the new DCU in these early days. That doesn't mean we're adapting all of these comics, but the feel, the look, or the tone of them are touchstones for our team. By the way, I'm loving that they're referencing these things. So again, this is you got Grant Morrison's Batman and Superman, as you can see here. You got Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch's The Authority. I think Mark Millar also worked on that as well. And everybody's loving Alan Moore's absolute Swamp Thing. So with that being said, there are a few things that I'm loving that they're doing here. Again, it is, Gunn's worked in the MCU. He knows how these things tie in together and how to do it right. But he's also taking it a step further that the MCU does not do, which is tying video games and animation into this whole cohesive universe, which is not new because Star Wars does that with comic books as well. But it's something that we've kind of been missing throughout this whole DC experiment for the past how many years? Jim, how many years has it been since we saw Man of Steel? 2012. We're talking 11 years.
Yeah.
So Jim, tell us your thoughts.
Well, there's a lot to digest, and I think what's interesting too is I don't think these are all the properties that we're going to see in this chapter 1. There are some things that aren't ready yet to be announced, and also he has to navigate through the next year of DC films because people are wondering why Gunn hasn't thrown Ezra Miller under the bus. Because he's the star of a major motion picture that they're putting out. They can throw him under the bus like once it goes to video. But they need to kind of keep the focus on the movie there. Everybody seems to presume that Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo going forward. Yeah. Maybe not Aquaman, but there's an Aquaman movie coming out at the end of the year. And they don't want to confuse that.
They can't announce Lobo before that movie comes out. Otherwise, it's going to be a press nightmare.
Yeah. There's a lot. And we know almost nothing about these properties, just what they are, kind of what the comic book inspirations are. There are no actors attached other than Sean Gunn's playing Weasel. And Amanda Waller is being played by Viola Davis.
Which is, by the way, it's something to think about. As he said, he's not rebooting this whole thing. He's going to bring people back that have played in those roles as well. So that's something to remember too.
And we don't have directors attached. We have one release date of July 11th, 2025. So there's still a lot of unknowns about what's going on, but what he's doing, he's setting the tone of getting people excited about DC, kind of when I think a lot of the fandom is a little bit jaded with what Marvel's been doing recently. Marvel, obviously hit the tremendous high of Endgame, and then we had Far From Home, and then the pandemic. And the Disney Plus started off great with WandaVision, and there have been mixed reviews about most of the properties. I've actually liked most of what they've put out. I think they've taken some chances in terms of style and story, but that's an entirely different thing. Now DC has to do something a little bit different, and they also have to appeal to the mass audience, right? These films, I imagine the executives are like the tentpole films. They expect them to bring in over $1 billion.
Sure, they have to, otherwise they're not competing with Marvel.
Yeah. And then the TV aspect, they got to keep people subscribing to and staying subscribed to HBO Max. And that's kind of what Marvel did with the interconnectivity with Disney Plus. In order to follow all the storylines, you got to have everything. So yeah, there's a lot to break down. I do believe that both Creature Commandos and Waller will be coming out before Superman Legacy. So they're going to kind of be the bridge between these next 4 films that we get this year that are just kind of lame ducks. They're already there. They're already done. There's probably going to be reshoots. They're probably going to be Frankensteined in some way, especially maybe post-credit sequences to lead into what they're doing next.
Well, it's weird because I think The Flash comes out first, right? And that is supposed to kind of
Shazam comes out
next month. I'm sorry, Shazam, then The Flash. That's supposed to help reboot this. However, you're going to have Blue Beetle followed by Aquaman. So it's cool to see James Gunn support Blue Beetle. He tweeted when they had that new poster and whatever other announcement that they have. So he's supporting that. He had a meeting with Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa came out there expressing how happy he is about the future of Aquaman, he said, and other things. So is it possible he could play 2 characters in the DCU? Sure. Anything is possible at this moment, but I have to say I feel much better about all of these characters we know and love than I did 6 months ago. Much better. Because again, they're coming in there with a plan. They are, as we've heard, ruffling feathers, but you know what? That needs to be done because the executives at Warner Brothers thought they were the smartest people in the room, and they completely just trashed these characters that we love. I think they took us for granted, thinking if we make it, they will come. But we did come, and you're like, this sucks. So I don't know. So your thoughts? You haven't really leaned in. And by the way, I got to say something real quick. Dan De La Torre, you never need to apologize, but thank you for showing up.
Yeah, I think that the thing that I really am liking the most is not the announcement itself, but that tweet that you showed after saying, hey, here's some inspirations that we have, which I love that. I love when they take the source material and they don't copy it scene for scene, and they don't, do it exactly, because we've read those stories, or at least some of us have read some of those stories. I would rather see new stuff on the screen, but taking that old stuff, the things that have happened, and retelling those stories, changing some things, modernizing them. Yeah, I love that they do that, and the fact that James Gunn is all on board for that, and the fact that James Gunn is such a big comic fan himself gives me such high hopes.
Yeah, agreed. He loves these. I mean, he did such an incredible job with Suicide Squad, such an incredible job with Peacemaker. Like, Jim, what are your thoughts on those 2 movies, the movie and the show?
The Suicide Squad was great, and Peacemaker was absolutely fantastic.
Outstanding.
So I think we'll see a lot of revisitation of that, and that's why people are leaning into these like tertiary, bizarre characters. If you said 5 years ago that Peacemaker and Ratcatcher and Polka Dot Man would be big characters, it doesn't make sense. So that's like, in terms of DC spec, like, where do you go? It's You know,
Anywhere.
there's a who had Creature Commandos on their DC spec bingo card.
No, not at all. But again, that's what James Gunn does. You know what I mean? And he does it very well. Guardians of the Galaxy can be seen in the same way. I collected a different Guardians of the Galaxy series, but he pulled the obscure Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess from the late 60s, early 70s. Huge success. Well, no,
it was the 2008 run.
You're right. It was actually that's so not as obscure. Never mind. But
yeah, because the original Guardians were essentially the ones, along with Yondu, that appeared in the post-credit sequence with Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, in the second film. Yondu was one of the earlier ones. But anyways,
he was
super excited about the DCU. Super excited about those announcements. Expect more information to come, like casting, like production start dates, because they have writers. They have a writers' room for all of this stuff as well, which I don't think that the DCEU had. And again, that's what led it to be another mess. But please continue telling us your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear more about this. But we actually have some small Marvel news that Joe's going to take. Go for it, Joe.
I am excited about this because I often find that the kids stuff, the stuff that's meant for all ages, is some of the best. Keep
stretching, Joe, because I did not load that image. Keep stretching. Go.
So I'm going to stretch this out. Now, when I talk about the kid stuff, think about Into the Spider-Verse. That is pretty much an all ages movie. You know, my 6-year-old nephew has seen it and probably saw it when he was like 4 or 5. Like that, it's appropriate for all ages. Now, I was very excited when I heard this property was coming, even though this was not a character that I initially. Are you ready to put it up on the screen?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, cool. I'm just making sure. Even though this is not a character that I really had read a lot about, I just knew of the character and knew of what she was. And one of the things that really intrigued me about her is that she is the smartest character, most intelligent character in the entire Marvel universe. No, it's not Bruce Banner or Reed Richards or Tony Stark or Doctor Doom. It is Moon Girl. Flashing on the screen. There we go. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is coming this Friday. This snuck up on a lot of people. Most people do not know about this. Almost everyone that I mentioned to has been like, oh, is that finally coming out? Yes, it is. It is coming to Disney Channel on Friday, not Disney Plus. It is initially going to premiere on Disney Channel. I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. And it eventually will be on Disney Plus. I don't think they've set a date for that. I am really, really excited about this. The animation style looks really cool. Like I said, a lot of the kids stuff is done very, very well. And not only that, but I think it's always so important to introduce the next generation of comic book characters, whether it's the really little kids watching Spidey and his amazing friends.
Yes.
Or, the kid appropriate television shows and movies and stuff like that. I have really high hopes for this. I don't even have basic cable right now. I just have all the streaming platforms, so I don't know how I'm going to watch this initially, but very excited to probably binge watch it once it hits Disney Plus. But yeah, Moon Girl.
Let me tell you how excited Joe was when I hit him up. I was like, "Hey man, is there any news you want to talk about?" Joe gave me the pretentious, Moon Girl.
I'm adding the show to my YouTube TV.
There you go.
There we go.
Done.
So
yeah, you're pretty high on that because you slapped me down.
Yeah.
You owe me an apology.
Listen, I didn't mean to be rude, but I have been looking forward to this since I heard it announced, which was probably 2 years ago.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. In fact, I actually thought it had been canceled or something like that. That being said, for those of you who don't know, Devil Dinosaur originally premiered in the late 70s along with Moon Boy.
We're talking a Kirby creation, right?
A Kirby creation, yeah. And it was, I don't think it was very popular because it didn't last very long. And in fact, Jim, who is our guest tonight, he let me know that there was a one shot that came out in when was that? The 2000s, Jim?
I think it was 97, 98.
97, and he told me that they had done that just to keep the IP, just to be able to continue the copyright on that. So they did that, and then eventually in the 2000s, they kind of relaunched Devil Dinosaur with Moon Girl instead of Moon Boy. who seems to be a much more popular and interesting character. And check out, if you ever go online, if you just Google the title of a comic and cover browser, you can kind of flip through the covers of any comic run. I suggest you do it for Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, because those are some really, really awesome covers.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the deal too. The marketing has been horrendous for this show. Horrendous.
Yeah, people don't know it's coming out. Maybe there are commercials on the Disney Channel, which I personally don't watch the Disney Channel very often, but hopefully they're doing some sort of promotion on the kids networks. We'll see.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up the news with this right here, because he's one of your favorite people. I've never met him, but the Pope of Chili Town. Look at this pepperoni fest.
Oh boy.
Love it. All right. Stir in the pot of chili.
Ooh.
See what I said? Stir in the pot of chili. Right? Okay. All right. Again, that's the news right there. Jim, you are very lucky. Why is my brother calling me? He knows I have a show. Goodness gracious. Anyways, that is the news. Jim, you are very lucky. You only were kicked off once because you did not do a proper interview. We would love to have you back on as a guest, but we're not going to be as nice to you. I can guarantee you that. We got what we wanted from you, although we still need you for a few other things. But before we do that, let's just say hello to some people like T-Shu. He's in the house. Mana out. JC Streets. Pope of Chili Town. We know that. Dan De La Torre has a hot take. Real quick, guys. Real quick. Mark my words. James Gunn and David Zaslav will lead what's left of the DCU to ruin. Don't say I didn't warn you. And then Dan says, I'll be happy to come on the show next week to explain. I think he's going, I think he's going to be the reason for it. Caleb Leland is at work, but he wanted to stop in and say hello. We got Gary's Comics and More, Planet Arizona Comics, Goonish, Lurker, Raw Dog Comics, Comic Toby 420, Phil Ailing, Mark Leneker, John Big Daddy Ross, Serge Henderson, Manny the Hobgoblin, Super Crispy Comics. Who else do we have? Biohazard Comics. We got Josh's Comics. We got Nuke's Comics. We got Tony Trombetta. EGS. We got more on that a little bit later in the show. Stick around. Somebody asked me a question about my daughter's book. We got 360 comics in the house. Who else? I get very excited. I'm sorry, guys. Very excited. Look at all these people. Maz's Toy Box. Sean, Ryan. So many people. We love you. Thanks so much for joining. Again, Chris has some family obligations. He may make it in time. Well, no, he's not, because this is our next segment. This is our next segment. And I'm going to need the big brains in the room to start talking about this, because right here, right now, we have a segment that's called Props or Flops. That's right. Do you have a question about an investment you want to make? That's right. It's an investment-related questions about some sort of books that you want to make. Upload any comic to Instagram that you have these questions about. Use the hashtag Props or Flops. Tell us why this book interests you, and we'll break it down. We'll break down the markets live on our show. We have 2 books this week, not 3. This is usually Chris's segment, so guys, bear with me. I'm tripping over my words. Don't make fun of me, Joe.
I didn't do it.
I saw it. I can see you. But yeah, let's just get right into it, guys, because we have 2 really pretty good submissions here. We're going to start off with Shortwave Collects 1980. This post is for, and Jim, I think you'll like this one. This post is for Props or Flops and Fresh from the Comic Shop. I have been a Jack Kirby guy for many years and have been wanting to pick this one up when I felt the time was right. I know it's a big Kirby 4th world key and an early appearance of one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful supervillains of all time in comics, depending on how you view what you read. But I picked this up for about $475, and it was already CGC slabbed and intend on holding long term. Maybe I can get some feedback from Journo and Comic Book Canon on the YouTube show. Well, you're right here on the YouTube show, and we're talking about this book on the YouTube show. So what we're going to do here, I want to get Jim's take on this book, the long-term investment for this book. I'm going to look up the latest price on Cover Price. And Jim, take it away. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this book and what you think about this as a again, we'll talk about props or flops. We're all going to decide, but let us know a little bit about this book.
Well, Forever People #1. It's one of the Jack Kirby 4 World books that premiered in 1971. It's the first full appearance of Darkseid after his cameo appearance in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen 134. And it's also the first appearance of the Forever People, who are completely ridiculous looking Kirby characters. And interestingly, not a whiff of New Gods or Fourth World characters in James Gunn's announcement. I think that short term, DC is going to pump the brakes on Darkseid because his similarity to Thanos. Starlin even said that Thanos was inspired, visually at least, by Darkseid. And the he was just kind of used at the end of the Snyder cut of the Justice League. So they kind of went in the Darkseid direction. I think maybe having Darkseid in the background, like he was early on in the Fourth World stories, might be something that we could get to him at the end of chapter 1. Gods, who are the gods that we're talking about in Gods and Monsters? Is it the new gods or is it the old gods? And the only really connection I think we have to the old gods is the Paradise Lost series.
Yes, correct about that. All right, here's the deal. This book in a 9.2 was last sold for, anybody want to take a guess? It was July 22nd of 2020. And it sold for, take a guess, Jim.
125.
No.
Take a guess, Joe.
400.
It sold for $312.97. And right there, I like this book. I love Darkseid. I remember watching, I was first introduced to Darkseid watching the Justice League in like the mid to late 80s. And I always saw him as pretty powerful, scary dude. I like this first appearance. It's Kirby. Here's the deal, though. We're all going to have to kind of decide if it's props or flops on our own. I see a lot of props in here. I don't see any flops. So I'm going to have Jim go first. Props or flops? They bought it for $475. So yeah, the long-term outlook. What do you think?
I think long-term, that's a good buy because this is a key of one of DC's most substantial villains. And I don't see it going down. It's not something that's tied to movie spec. It's not Gore the God Butcher.
Okay, that's fair. Joe, your thoughts?
So I'm on this for props for a couple reasons. Now, first and foremost, you're
giving it props.
I'm giving it props.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a big key. We major villain, Kirby book. It's a #1. It's 1971, so the very, very early aughts of the Bronze Age. This book. Think about Marvel keys. Actually, think about Thanos. Let's see.
Yes.
I just actually looked it up. There was a sale, literally today, for a 9.0, so close in grade, first Thanos, $1,850. Now, I'm not saying Darkseid will ever rival Thanos, but the fact that Darkseid in a higher grade was bought for about a fourth of the price of the first appearance of Thanos.
Yeah.
That bodes well for the potential of that book. Even if that book ends up being half of the price of that first Thanos, that's still a double up. The fact that it's a early Bronze Age book, a 15 center, and it's a high grade in the 9s, a 9.2, that's impressive. That's investment grade condition right there. So I'm props all day on this one. And you did mention the last price was $312, but that was 2.5 years ago.
You're right.
Comic boom. So,
you're right. Damn you. You know what? I was going to go flops.
Oh.
Until you alerted to my attention. That was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna go props on this as well. I mean, it's like a key book. Villain keys are it's hard, especially because the villains are not as prominent in the continuity of these films and stories and things like that. But this is an iconic character, like absolutely an iconic character. So I'm going to give it props as well. So Shortwave Collects, props on that. It can only go up from here. And I agree. Like, he is in the conversation as a Thanos too, in terms of the impact he has on the DC universe. So well done indeed. All right, moving on. We got good friend of the show, Comic Toby, in the house. This book, I like this book because it's relating to something coming out very soon. We got let me just read it. You guys, I never imagined myself saying, oh, Joe, an ode to you, by the way, Joe. I never found myself saying low grade is better than no grade until this weekend when I bought this low grade copy of the Mighty Thor 134 for $2.50. Let me repeat that. $2.50. I've been watching the trailer for Guardians 3, and since the damage doesn't affect the story, I think I might be able to flip this for a minimum of $5, doubling my investment. Please, your thoughts. I can't see clear. It looks like the cover is intact. I don't know what we're looking at the back cover, and he said that it doesn't affect the story, so that leads me to believe he could read all the way through the book. So that means it's all intact right there. And, you could be looking at a 3.0 maybe raw.
Well, you can see it's missing a portion of the trade dress. Look at the upper right corner.
You're right. Okay.
Now, I think that is enough space missing, enough portion of the cover missing that it might automatically go 0.5.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah.
But
we got Tony Trombetta in the chat. I'd love to get your thoughts, Tony, president of EGS, as to what you would grade something like this with that chunk. I see it now, Joe. You're right. Jim, your thoughts on this book overall?
Get rid of it before the movie comes out.
Yes.
I think this is, I don't know if the High Evolutionary is going to appear again. And most of the hype around this book is based on his appearance in the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I mean, if you got it for $250, it's probably, even in that condition, at least a $40 book.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and again, he did say flip in there. So here's the deal: $2.50. You're going to make your money back, no doubt about that. I'm going props on this because you could definitely flip this easily for $40. Again, I want to get Tony Trombetta's thoughts on the condition of this book and how he would grade something like this. I'm not sure if he's here right now. I know he'll be coming back, but we got I don't know, Joe, your thoughts. Props or flop?
I mean, it's not only is it a Silver Age Thor key or just Silver Age Marvel key in general, which anytime you're getting those books for $2.50, even like coverless copies, you're probably at least getting them for a little under what FMV would be. But the fact that this book, I just did a quick search and there really isn't a copy selling for less than about $50. So, those are all they seem like low grade complete copies, maybe in the good range. This book, even missing that part of the trade dress, like Jim said, probably a minimum of $40. I would think so. But yes, I do agree also with Jim that if you're gonna get rid of it, now's the time to get rid of it. If you're in this book for the profit, you spend $2.50 on it, you sell it for $40 or whatever. You're coming up, even if you give free shipping on that, you're coming up about $30, which on a $2.50 investment, you're doing great. That being said, if you want to keep it for yourself, you have very little into it, you don't mind the fluctuation of the market, which almost certainly will go down after that movie has come out. Unless it's the greatest movie ever and that character doesn't die at the end and continues in the MCU for some reason and becomes the next Thanos, but I do not see that happening. So
the other
either way, props because of
if you want this book long term, you can sell it. Let's say you could get $40 for it, in the next couple months. A year from now, you could probably get a raw, complete, copy with the complete cover.
Yeah.
For that amount.
Sure. Yeah. If you're planning on keeping it yourself, it might be better to just sell now and rebuy later a nicer copy. Good.
Yeah, that's a good strategy right there. As we see Tony Trombetta from EGS, obviously he's not looking at it closely, but off the top of his head from what he sees, it's looking like a 0.5. So get rid of it after this weekend, because I think there's going to be a trailer for this at the Super Bowl. If you're looking to flip it, that would be the probably the hype before the film comes out. So yeah. All right. That right there ends Props or Flops. Once again, if you have a question about a book you're interested in for an investment, please put it up on Instagram and use the hashtag Props or Flops. Please tag Comic Book Canon and Journo's Comics as well. Tell us why this book interests you. Also, tell us how much you paid for it as well. That's very helpful in terms of us seeing if it's a props or flops. We'll break it down via the market live on our show. We love that segment right there. You know what else we love, guys? A segment we do always slips my mind. Joseph, what is it called?
I believe it is called Fresh from the Super Bowl. No, the comic shop. Fresh from the comic shop.
Fly from the pressing salon. That's right. We ask you, our audience, to give us your fresh gets each and every week, and you deliver. Not only do you deliver, you have fun with it. You guys give us some great images on some great books. You tell us why you love these books. You want to share them with the community. But on top of that, you can win a special prize from EGS. That's right. Each and every month, Tony, president of EGS, gives us a comic book to give away for this segment. He sponsors this segment. And let me tell you something. EGS is completely different from other grading services for many reasons. And I'm going to show you why. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you why in a little bit. That's a little foreshadowing. It's called foreshadowing in the industry. But I do want to talk about this. He's given us, all you fine people, 5% off your EGS order using the code Canon5. Again, the reason they're so special, you can customize your own labels, free graders notes, and fast turnaround times. You guys, I'm telling you, you're going to want to check him out. He's definitely a small fish in a large pond. But that fish is eating the fish food, right, Joe? I'm trying to come up with an analogy here. Help me. He's eating the fish food.
You're really floundering here.
And but he's getting bigger and bigger. Tony, I definitely can write some commercials for you.
Hold up. My wife just delivered me chocolate milk.
Oh, that's sweet.
I asked for a pen so I could take notes on Fresh from the Comic Shop, and she got me chalky milk.
That's your wife she's a gem.
Oh, you want it back? Okay.
Oh, are we gonna? This is turning into an altercation here. Sorry to bring you into this. This is embarrassing. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna show off your fresh gets. Jim, Joe, and myself, the 3 J's, Jeff, Jim, and Joe. Wow, what do you know?
Wow.
We're gonna show off our fresh gets, but we're gonna start off with you guys. Jim, you have a responsibility, as I said. You need to pick a semifinalist that will go up against last week's semifinalist for the February book. Well, actually, you know what? Sorry, guys. Sorry, I forgot to. Big announcement. This is the February book. You ready? Who's ready? I'm ready. That's right. It is Mandalorian #5, the Stephanie Hans cover A. It is gorgeous. As you can see, look at this. This is a customized label right here. You see the black and red gradient. You see the images of Mando and Grogu on the top right there. These are the things you work with at EGS, and this is what they deliver. Very happy to see that. That's a really cool book. Thank you, Tony. Cannot thank you enough. We're going to get right into it right now. How about that? We're going to start off with Goonish Lurker, X Factor 88 and 98, X Factor Special Prisoner of Love, X417, and Uncanny X-Men 204. No special story or fancy photo for these X titles, just some deals I got last Thursday when I was out and about. See, we like this too. Share these books with us that you just picked up. I forgot to mention the criteria that Jim's going to be grading these on and picking a winner. Presentation. Give us a well-composed shot. Give us something that will wow us. Get artistic with it and look like that when you're taking the picture. Joe's got it right there. That's what he does. He has a really good book this week. Not your best shot, but it's because you weren't doing that. Also, unique books go far as well. We see a guy like Mark Leneker delivering these really unique and fun books. That represents unique in Joe's weird language. And finally, let's see how Joe does this. The story.
Chocolate milk.
Story. What's in that chocolate milk? The story. The story matters. Tug at our heartstrings. Look at this. Tell us what this book means to you. Does it remind you of the first book you ever picked up off the rack? Does it remind you of a book that you cherished but you lost in a flood and you got back? Does it remind you of your father or something? Tell us what it means to you. That goes a very long way. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, we're going to get to Nuke's Comics. What do we got, Nukes? Fresh from the comic shop, Amazing Spider-Man 3. Johnny Storm is mad. Peter Parker's taking over the Baxter building. Peter uses an old trick to contain the Human Torch. Great cover work by Alex Ross. I picked this up from DBS. Who says run-fills can't be fun-filled? Ooh, Joe, that's
I love that, Nuke.
Who says run-fills can't be fun-filled? Nuke, that is great. Good stuff indeed. Absolutely. You're going to have to steal that, Joe, but you're going to have to talk to Nukes. All right, Jim. What's your first fresh get of the week? Just show us one at a time. What do you got?
So I've been collecting. I randomly selected a golden age month and year, and I've been buying books from just that particular month, all publishers, all genres, and I just picked up.
Whoa!
May 1946, Walt Disney Comics and Stories, Volume 6, Number 8.
That is outstanding. Look at that. What's the condition?
I mean, it does have a big crease. It's kind of funny. On the back, I guess you would call it a subscription crease because this was probably just put in somebody's mailbox.
Oh, wow.
It's not even a sticker. It's a stamp of the address.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's funny.
And the town that it was sent to is like 2 towns over from the town I grew up in.
That is so cool.
That's
a really cool book.
There.
So,
sometimes
these older books are really a snapshot into Americana at the time. I mean, just think 1946. I mean, Donald Duck was huge at that point in time.
Yeah, for sure.
With the Disney being the king of animation, all the shorts that were coming out. This was, I think, a couple of years before Three Caballeros came out. So,
that's a really cool book.
Disney was huge.
Yeah, and as I mentioned Mark Leneker before, he says you see that a lot with Dell Comics. He's probably talking about the Fold. Also, they were extremely popular and they printed millions. Back then, they printed millions. I did not know that. But Mark Leneker and Joe, they bring some old books to the table here on this show, and it's pretty awesome. And then Disney made a percentage of every book printed, not sold. Wow. That's wow. Okay. They were running game even back then.
Yeah.
Love it.
Walt was no fool.
No, obviously not. All right, moving on. We got who do we got? We got Son of Comics. I like these covers right here. Son of Comics, Spawn 303 and Harley Quinn 25 Spawn variant. These are 2 of my favorite Spawn covers. These are amazing comic book art. I can't stop looking at all these beautiful books. Kale Yu is one of the best artists to draw Spawn. I don't know anything about this Harley Spawn cover, but it's so cool looking. I really dig that. By the way, the Red Hulk right there, Jim, is it's Red Hulk approved. That's how Son of Comics approves his books, by always putting a Red Hulk in front of there. And we love it. We absolutely love it. Next up, we got Nerds Being Geeks. What do you got, Nerds Being Geeks? Amazing Heroes, number 107. Pick this up at my local comic book shop. Our Raptors comics. I've never heard of Amazing Heroes, but from what I could tell, it was a magazine that was filled with comic creator interviews, previews, and reviews. Basically, all the views. What made me want it, however, is this incredible cover. The black and white turtles bustling through the banner that had characters from both of the big 2 companies, Batman, Thor, Hulk, Superman, and Spider-Man, sharing a cover with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He loves his TMNT. He definitely does. Speaking of loving TMNT, Joe, what do you got? What's your first fresh get of the week? There's no segue there, but
Ooh,
I just wanted
I do love TMNT. I didn't bring a TMNT book to the table. I brought 3 books that I got from 3 very different places, all from very different eras, and they're just different books in general. I tried to get the stuff that I picked up in the last week, the 3 most different books. So we're going to start off with the first one. It is a very modern book, last 10 years, actually last, 7? What year is this? 2015. So yeah, 8 years ago. It is the newest book. It is the only one that is currently slabbed. And it is a really cool first appearance. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 10, first appearance of Spider-Punk. And also picked this up from Whatnot. This was at a Whatnot auction that I got this in. Got it for much under fair market value, which is great. And even better, I got it off of a friend's Whatnot stream. So, helped him out a little bit selling some books.
Yeah.
Shout out to Comic Dunes and Nemesis Prime. They're my 2 buddies, and they sold this book together. But yeah, 9.8 for Spider-Punk. He's coming to the movie. He's being voiced by a popular actor. Definitely see some potential in that character, given the popularity explosion that we saw from the first Spider-Verse movie.
For sure. And here's the deal. Like, not only is he in the film, he's already got his solo series, and there's already toys out with him right there. So that book is only going to go up. I see huge potential in that, and that's a great pickup. So
yeah, and I will say, obviously everything spiked and then went down. This book has calmed down considerably, even post the announcements and stuff. I'll just say it right here. I got this book for $150. They've been selling for mostly $200 to $250. So
yeah,
got it
good get. That's a good get for sure. Yeah. I'm liking that pickup for you. I am also liking the next pickup here. We got a guy by the name. This guy is so, honestly, I'm tired of this audience member because he's always pushing his books one after another. He's not taking turns. It's freaking 360 Comics. Oh. A lot of, by the way, you're gonna have 4 books in this segment. A lot of people have been asking. I'm just kidding. I asked him to keep this one in. A lot of people have been asking what I was looking to pick up from the insane collection my local comic shop got in last week. See last Friday's YouTube video. By the way, y'all should be following 360. We talk about this all the time. And if you're not, shame on you. And we will find you and hunt you down. We'll press subscribe on your device. Won't we, Joe?
I don't. That's a little harsh.
We will.
I'll just ask nicely.
We will. Jim will drive, so he's an accomplice. Well, this was my most desired book within my price range, and I was able to pick it up today. Detective Comics 62. Jesus. From 1942, features a classic Joker cover by Jerry Robinson and story by Batman creator Bill Finger. This is now my earliest appearance of Batman, and a book that will be staying in the personal collection for a very long time. Joe, this is a great get. Jim, thoughts on this book?
It's, 1942 Joker. Come on.
Yeah.
He's 2 years old at that point.
That's so weird. That's incredible to say. Like, that book is 81 years old. Well done, Joe. Well done indeed. Back to back. Marvel Man 616 Comics. Spider-Girl number 77. Cover art by Ron Frenz. I like this cover. It's quite interesting. It doesn't look like a Ron Frenz. It doesn't look like Ron Frenz drew that, but it's really a cool cover.
Yeah, I guess he must have modernized his style.
Yeah, it's almost negative space. But the Ron Frenz I'm used to is that Thor run, and it's very Kirby-esque. So I do like that book quite a bit. All right. Speaking of books, we're going to look at my first fresh get of the week, and this is dedicated to Jim. Thank you for being on the show. With all of these announcements, I decided to just, take a chance on something here. And I know the first appearance of this character is highly sought after and really expensive. So why not get this one? Jim, want your thoughts? And you too, Joe. But this is Green Lantern 182, where John Stewart becomes Green Lantern. It's a newsstand. I don't know what year that is, if it's really relevant. But
84.
84. So, okay. It's getting there. But anyway, so I got this for maybe $10. That's not a bad. I feel like it's a key of some sort. So yeah, very
It's a
happy
Dave Gibbons cover.
I'm sorry, who?
Dave Gibbons, I think, did the cover.
I'm not quite sure. I don't see any signature on it. It's a little beat up. It needs a press and a clean, but I think it's a nice book to have. I love John Stewart, by the way. And Green Lantern is one of my favorite. I don't know if he's my favorite character from DC, but I like out of all the books that I've collected, especially when I was younger, Green Lantern was tops. So I'm excited to see that Green Lantern's cop show or mystery show. So, anyways, that's my first fresh get of the week right there. We got Josh's Comics from Delaware, my home state. These two beautiful Joker covers come from a recent Whatnot pickup. Issues 504 and 532 of Detective Comics. Both are high grades. Really love issues 532. Joker train attempting to run over Batman. Who doesn't like that, guys? That looks like it's almost... Would that be Neil Adams, 532? It looks like his style, but it's too corny to be his style.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, he was doing covers during that era for Batman and for just DC in general. So maybe, let's say maybe.
Okay, well, I can go with maybe for sure, but those are some great.
I'm going to say Garcia Lopez, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it might be.
It's got that style. Anyways, all right, moving on. Jim, what is your second fresh get of the week? What do you got?
Okay, my next pickup is a book that actually had the first 4 issues of this series in a collection I recently picked up. And it is...
Oh, look at that. Jeez. Evil Ernie. Oh my God. That's 80s, right? That's straight up 80s.
I believe so. 89, maybe? It's definitely
late 80s.
Yeah, Evil Ernie. Okay. I like it. What is the publisher?
Eternity.
Okay. That's a good pickup, man.
I don't know what the print run on this was, but it was really small.
Yeah, it had to be. It probably was one of those books that was like 10,000 or something, like similar to The Crow.
Mark Lineker is saying that is money. I'm not sure if he's saying that's like money, like, yo, that's the shit, or that's worth a lot of money. But I would say that's money, like that's mint, that's dope, something like that. I don't know. Moving on, we got who do we have? We have Into Oblivion. That's who we have, and he has this Invincible cover. Where are you, buddy? Where are you? Oh, Into Oblivion, Invincible #1, the Comic Vault Live 2023 variant cover art by Gabriel Piccolo. First appearance of Invincible, first appearance of Omni-Man, father of Invincible, first appearance of Deborah Grace, and the mother of Invincible. I'm trying to read this all out. First appearance of Titan, first appearance of William Clockwell, Invincible's best friend, first appearance of David Hiles, a physics teacher, first cameo appearance of Adam Eve, first cameo appearance of Science Dog on a comic cover. So that's good. That's a nice pickup. I'm looking forward to season 2. What a crazy show. My God. Mark Lineker did clarify it's also money. And Josh's Comics, DC 532 is Gene Colan. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for that. Moving on. We have, who do we have? We got C to the G. I like this cover, guys. Beautiful cover by Mark Brooks. Can't go wrong with Psylocke. Well, besides for Emma or Rogue. Marvel Comics X-Men Volume 5, number 15. Mark Brooks, 2022 New York Comic Con's White Sash Virgin variant. Beautiful cover. And notice, everybody, this is what we're talking about. Get artistic, get creative with these pictures. He's got roses around there, too, matching the book. It is a gorgeous cover. So well done there, C to the G. That's what we're talking about. And you know what? I appreciate We Got Issues. I love to see what others are adding to their collection. I love the segment of the show. Thank you, We Got Issues. This is our favorite segment, too, because we just love sharing as a community what we're all getting. That's what it's all about.
I'll tell you this. There are so many comic book shows out there, some of which are live like this one, some of which have audience interactions. This is literally the only live comic book show that I watch every week, and it is a majority because of Fresh from the Comic Shop. I think that was a great idea on your guys' part. So shout out to you and Chris for that.
Listen, we're brothers. And you're basically a co-host on the show anyway. So let's just
I'm here a lot.
You're a little biased at this point.
Yeah.
And we paid you to say that. Moving on. Let's go with actually your second fresh get of the week. What do you got?
Me? Okay. So we're going back in time a little bit. My first one, if you remember, was a book from the 2000s, 2015. It was Slabbed. and I said I got it on Whatnot. We're going to go back a little bit to a book from the 90s. It is Raw. I got it from a comic convention that I sold at over the weekend. And this is a childhood favorite of mine. We got the Animaniacs.
Oh my God.
Now, this is issue number 35, and this is one of the most coveted issues in the run because it's the first appearance of the bizarre superhero known as Freakazoid. And you can see
Yakko,
Wacko, and Dot are dressed up as Freakazoid on the cover of the book. This is a book that I was not aware of until recently. In fact, Pope of Chilitown, he found a newsstand copy of this book recently and turned me on to knowing that this book existed. And I found this in a dollar bin at a convention that I was at. It was a toy dealer. They had a bunch of comics for $1 a piece. Not a lot, but this was in there, and that was the best pickup of the weekend for sure.
Some of those types of places are the best places to find those kind of books. So
yeah, absolutely.
Good on you, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, it sells for like $50 too. Like it's just because it probably had a low print run. It's a kid's book, so wasn't kept in good condition. This is a sharp copy.
Yeah, man. No, good stuff. Love it, love it, love it. Next up, we got Comic Demon. Spider-Man number 4. These are these homages that they're doing these days. So as you can see, it looks like an older book, but it's got Miles on the cover and it says Enter and now Sandman. So I like it. I love this cover. By the way, Comic Demon he always gives a variety of books and we can only take one. This one stood out from all of those. This cover I love this cover. Love it, love it, love it. So good stuff, Comic Demon. Moving on, we got good friend of the show and always is bringing knowledge, and I love him for that. It's Mark Leneker. Batman 307 and 308, Whitman editions from 1979. Issue 307 is the first appearance of Lucius Fox, second in command of Wayne Enterprises and the Wayne Foundation. More importantly, he becomes Batman's chief of R&D and quartermaster. It may be hard to believe, but issue 308 is only Mr. Freeze's third appearance as a main antagonist and the 7th appearance overall. Bronze Age Batman is showing no signs of slowing down. By the way, the winner of the Superman contest advertised on these covers got one of the capes worn by Christopher Reeves. Very cool. Very, very cool. Again, love the knowledge he brings every week and the books that he brings as well. My second fresh get of the week. And here we go. This I'm very excited to show off because this is my first submission I got back from EGS, and it's one of my most prized possessions because it was the time I worked with Stan Lee. I think I told you all about this book, but it's in an EGS case. My first EGS case, it's the first time I've held an EGS case, and I'm loving it, guys. If I had to describe it in one word, the word I would say is solid because it feels solid. Everything feels well put together. Everything feels well designed, well sealed. Again, you got the gradient right there. You put a little Spider-Man dealio. There's some things that with licensing, you can't just rip off an image and use that. So there's some license free images that you can use and get creative with. But man, Tony, you've done so well with these cases. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. So this is what I wanted. I wanted Spider-Man colors and an image of Spider-Man up there. And again, this is one of my most prized possessions. I'm never getting rid of this book. Stanley signed it when I was working with him on a little segment. It just reminds me of that time. And also a significant issue, again, because the Comics Code is not on there for the first time in decades.
Jeff, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The word, by the way, that I have a CGC, an EGS case as well. And the word that I would use solid. I like the word sleek because it is they're like it's smoother than a CGC and there's like grooves and stuff in the CGC one.
Yes,
it is
exactly.
Like a capsule. Like it feels like it's a capsule with the EGS one. It's very sleek.
Really does.
Very sturdy despite it being thin.
It really does. Yeah. I don't like almost like CBCS or CGC. You almost feel like it could come apart if you. I'm not going to bend this thing, but this thing really feels solid.
And sometimes they do come apart.
Yeah. So this is and again, it wasn't about the grade for me.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't going to get this pressed or cleaned. I didn't care. Got a 4.0. It's fine. But yeah, I'm very happy with this. This thing.
Look at Mark Leneker in the chat.
What did he say?
Look at him. He's
Sexy.
saying sexy, sensual, other S words to describe it.
It is sexy, and I will be sensual with it tonight.
All right, the show's over now.
I said that out loud. Goodness gracious, I'm sorry, people. All right, moving on. That's the only, there's no segue from that. We got Raising Elm Comics. Here we go. Happy Monday, comic fam. Star Wars, by the way, Raising Elm always does an outstanding job. Happy Monday, comic fam. Star Wars issue 48 was one of the books I got with store credit recently at Geektopia from my buddy Rick. It's time to refocus this year and put more attention into completing my son's Star Wars Volume 1 run. This isn't a major key issue, but Key Collector does have it listed as cover art featuring Darth Vader and Princess Leia. I honestly struggled a bit this week trying to figure out how to frame the shot, but when it finally dawned on me, just use my wife Vera's Bradley Star Wars blanket as the backdrop. The most simple ideas turn out to be the most effective. Hope you all are doing well this week. I agree with that. Well done on, look at that blanket. That's adorable and looks very comfortable too. All right, Jim, your final fresh get of the week. What do you got?
Okay, this was an eBay purchase, and it is one of the it's a first appearance that a lot of people are not aware of. It's not a Marvel book or a DC book, but it's the major first appearance of a property that was a huge part of popular culture and my childhood, and it has maintained its status that everybody who watches superhero / science fiction stuff knows what this property is, and it is Beneath the Planet of the Apes. It's a gold key book from 1970, and it's an adaptation to the sequel Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which was a sequel to the original 1968 movie with Charlton Heston and Roddy McDowall, Kim Hunter, etc. And this is a hard book to come upon. This is a really nice copy. I think it's like an 859 maybe. And because it has a poster inside.
Yep.
And the poster is in this copy.
I would have to say that's a unique book. That would fall under the category of unique. And I think that's that's a great get. By the way, Pope of Chilitown, it's a madhouse. A madhouse.
There are only 61 copies on the CGC census, and 3 of them are qualified. I imagine they're missing the poster.
Goodness. Only 3 of them? Oh, my gosh. Are you going to send that into CGC or maybe?
Yeah, there's 61, 3 qualified, 58 unqualified. I'm going to be sending that in.
Damn, dude. Good stuff.
I don't think it's going to be be for sale.
That's a great find. That's a great find. All right. Here's what we're going to do next. We're going to go straight into Joe's, because we have one more submission left. We're going to straight into Joe's final fresh get of the week. And then we'll go into that last submission, and then you know what happens after that.
All right. So far we've seen 2000s, 90s. We've seen Whatnot, Comic Convention. We've seen a slab book. We've seen a raw book. Now we're going to see a book that is literally falling apart. It is a golden age book, and I bought it from my LCS. As mentioned before, they got a just absolute insane collection in, quite possibly worth over $100,000.
Wow.
I picked up a couple books from it. I did not get the ultimate grail that was in there, mainly because I couldn't afford it. But this one is a good one. This went right into the collection as well. This is Black Terror, number 20. This is from 1947.
Wow.
This is an Alex Schomburg cover. He was very popular Golden Age artist, and in fact worked all the way up until the Bronze Age, even coming kind of like full circle, because he did a lot of those early timely books with Human Torch and Namor the Submariner. But he kind of finished his career doing art for Invaders, which was those characters once again being utilized, in a modern team. Alex Schomburg, really well known, especially for his Good Girl art covers, and this is a really shining example of that. With a bondage cover, a Good Girl cover, whatever you want to call it. This book, again, like I said, is literally falling apart. The spine is completely split, front and back cover detached. There's a couple pages detached. It is without a doubt going to get a 0.5. It is complete though. And so, that makes me happy. There's nothing missing from it, but certainly going to hit the 0.5 due to all the detachments, but I don't care. I bought it for the cover and I, again, got it for a really, really great price.
Yo, I love that book right there. That too falls under, I guess that would fall under a bit unique as well. We don't see those types of books on the show very often.
Yeah, for sure.
So great get. You always bring diverse gets. Jim, same with you, man. Especially that Planet of the Apes. That's freaking dope. The fact that it's rare to have the poster in there. All right. Our final fresh get of the week. We're gonna show it. Then I'm gonna show my last fresh get, which is near and dear to my heart, which some of you know exactly what that's going to be.
Oh
yeah, I'm psyched. So here's the final fresh get of the week from our audience, and this is Maz's toy box, and I gotta say, holy shit! I picked this book up on. By the way, that's a giant Galactus toy right there. Maz does some incredible photos of these toys in action, and as you can see, you got Galactus holding up his first appearance. I do believe it's his first appearance, and the Watcher in the same position as the comic book. I freaking love this. Maz's toy box. I picked this book up on a whim a few years back, not being able to find an acceptable copy of Giant-Sized X-Men #1 for the price I was willing to pay. You got it at a local comic book convention. This book was in a private collection. The seller had it on them, just looking to trade it and or sell with dealers. It was raw, and at the time, the seller believed it to be a 4.0 or less. So when I bought this back in 2017, it was arguably a good deal. Fast forward 6 years, ooh, what a deal I got. I sent it off to CGC and it came back as a 5.0, and this book is fire. I'm always going to be sad I didn't stick with my first passion of X-Men out of this, but this book has given me a new passion, and I have read a lot more Fantastic Four since. So here's my fresh from the comic shop photo. Wow. Maz, I love it. I absolutely love it. And you're getting some praise from the community here as well. Mark Leneker is digging it as well. So good stuff right there. And that right there is our fresh from the comic shop. But so Jim, you got a decision to make. So what we want to do is pick out 3 that stick out for you, and then you're gonna pick one of those from those 3 that stuck out for you. But here's the deal. I'm gonna show you my fresh get of the week, and you guys know what this is. I think you do. And again, Tony, thank you so much. This is my second EGS slab. My daughter's first comic book.
Yes.
That's right. It is
Captain Cold Hands.
Sally Soaphands and Lion Girl, The Mystery of Captain Cold Hands. It's a 9.8. It's the first appearance of Sally Soaphands, Lion Girl, Lai. That's Lion Girl, and that's Lai. Lai and Captain Cold Hands. It's got her name on here. It's just so awesome, man. I am so psyched for this. Like, my daughter has her comic book in the slab. I showed it to her today, and she's like, can I just read the one I have in my room? Why do I have that? Like, I'm trying to explain to her, we're preserving it, and it's going to be awesome. So she doesn't understand yet, but I am so proud of this. I'm so happy. Again, Tony, you did a bang up job as well. We didn't go anything. We just went traditional label, as you guys can see right here for EGS, but this thing is special to me. So that's it right there, guys. And Jim, oh boy. I love that Captain Cold Hands is getting props. He's a bad guy, man. Captain Cold Hands came about because sometimes I get cold hands and I put it on my daughter's back. I'm like, Captain Cold Hands. She's like, ah. And then she made a character based off of that. Sally Soaphands is her jam. All right. So Jim, tough choice. What are you looking at? What are your top 3 that we have to go through here?
I should have taken more copious notes.
I looked at the data.
Yeah, Joe's got an algorithm in his head.
Joe's just like drawing stick figures, I'm sure.
He really is. No, he does have kind of an algorithm, I think.
Yeah, I got a pie chart. Pie chart, data. I got data. I got all the data.
Yeah, he's a data guy. All right. So
Pie
Jim, what do you
chart.
got? What do you got?
Okay, I'll put in the list that that Star Wars book with the Vader Leia cover.
Okay, here we go. That's
Completed
Raising
for
Up
Kids
Comics.
Run. You know, the
Yep.
blanket draws to the composition there. I do like what was the catchphrase about the run fillers?
Nukes.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Who was that? That was Nukes. Yeah.
Nukes,
Yeah.
And
We're at
that is a nice cover.
Really, Alex Ross, I think we take Alex Ross for granted these days because he does so many of these. But my God, his artwork is just outstanding. Outstanding.
I think for the importance of the book and the composition of the shot, I think Maz's FF48.
No doubt.
The only thing that would have put this really over the top if Galactus was dressed in the funny jammies that he was wearing in that first appearance. The red and green thing with the big G on the front.
Yeah.
His mom had sewn that on when he went to summer camp, so he wouldn't lose his clothes.
I wonder if he had those little booty the socks that come on it as well. But yeah, this shot, Maz, you outdone yourself. You'll be going up against last week's semifinalist, which I don't remember who that is, but my gosh, Maz, well done indeed. And Jim, that's absolutely a good choice.
The only thing is the lighting makes you wonder: is that a purple label?
Yeah, that's kind
of. Oh yeah, no, I don't think it is. Maz is here; he can tell us. Maz, can you tell us if that is a purple label? I doubt it is, but it's got to be the light. Also, you know what's cool about Maz and his Instagram account is sometimes he shows you how he took those pictures, which I appreciate big time. Behind the scenes is always it's fun. He actually shares how he does this so other people can do it as well. But he's obviously got a talent. Congratulations, Maz. You'll be going up against don't remember who it is, but somebody for the semifinals. How many Joe? It's time. I'm not sure if we may be canceling Comic Book Ken. How much does Bronzeville have?
Check your subs. Yeah, I just want to say, Maz's that might be the best shot I have ever seen on the show.
It's up there, dude.
Like,
it's really up there.
There aren't many that compete with that one.
It's incredible. Like,
yeah.
The only thing that would beat that is if somebody had like little dogs that they dressed up like the characters on the cover.
We had a dog one, right? I was on the show. I remember.
Yes, we did. I can't remember who that was, but it is. Geez, Joe, you're kind of right. I mean, we also do appreciate the telling the story of the book. That's big. This is one of the best composed shots we've seen. We've had some very creative shots as well. But he's got a talent. So, anyways, we'll leave it at that. Jim, how many subs do you have?
3680. So we're up 5.
We had to do 7.
Well, it's been a nice run, guys. Unless we can get 2 more subs on Bronzeville, which is down there right now, but before the end of the night.
We got it.
We'll give it before the end of the night. Oh, Dan just subbed. We need one more sub, everybody. One more sub.
We're there.
We're there. All right. Anyways, Jim, thank you so much for joining us. I would love to have you on again. We would love to have you on. That includes Joe. But we're going to have to have you go through the interview process. This one, we needed something from you. So you kind of skirted that. I bet you Dan De La Torre's pissed because he got kicked off 18 times.
Yes, I haven't had to go through the interview process since the 90s.
Oh, okay. Well, we're probably gonna, it's 2023. It's a new year, so we're probably gonna need hard copies of your resume as well. So we greatly appreciate that. We greatly appreciate you, the audience, for joining us as you do each and every week. Greatly appreciate Joseph. We don't say it enough, man. He is our Tom Hanks. He's basically another co-host of this show. Chris, again, had a family obligation. He will be back. He's doing okay, everybody. He's doing okay, but he will be back. So, again, guys, can't thank you all enough. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week, next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Actually, no. Joe, do you have any last words? Jim, you have any last words you want to say? I'm hogging this all up.
King Con. Come hang out with me and Jim at King Con next month. in Isla, New Jersey. If you're within the area, March 25th, 26th. And yeah, we'll be there, as well as Very Gary Comics, Erod 212, Streetside Anthony, Pressable Defects, a lot of people from the community. Yeah, 3 Men in a Basement. Mm-hmm.
But that's not the most important thing we need to talk about.
Oh, what's that?
Go Birds!
Go Birds! Of course.
Go Birds!
How can
All right, next time you'll see us, we'll see what our Joe and my mood is in, but hopefully we are ecstatic. Yeah. All right, everybody, be good to yourselves, be good to others. Peace.